Here's your wrestling news for March 12th, 2023, and we're kicking off today with WrestleMania, and with the biggest show of the year less than 3 weeks away, WWE wants to build as much hype to the show. One way WWE builds excitement is by featuring their very top superstars, and no pesky brand split will stop WWE from doing just that. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful reports that a good number of Raw talent are expected to be present at upcoming SmackDown tapings leading into WrestleMania, but didn't specify who. On this week's SmackDown, we saw the Judgment Day and Cody Rhodes appear on the blue brand. And what do you make to the brand split, and who are you expecting to see appear on Raw and SmackDown in the coming weeks? At AEW Revolution, MJF retained his AEW World Championship, besting Bryan Danielson in the promotion's first Iron Man match. As you'd expect, MJF was on the post-show media scrum, and unlike CM Punk, his comments on the scrum have had everyone talking for the right reasons. Declaring himself the man now, MJF added that he is the best wrestler in the world, a line some have taken as a dig at CM Punk. The comparisons to Punk continued when MJF said that nobody can touch me when it comes to work in the ring or on the microphone, and used similar verbiage to Punk's iconic June 2011 pipe bomb, where he said that nobody can touch me, whether it's in the ring or on the mic. Like Punk at All Out, MJF enjoyed a snack for the press conference, but given his sour demeanor, it was perhaps fitting that he went for a jar of pickles instead of Punk's blueberry muffin. While Punk was once indeed considered the best in promos, that accolade now belongs to MJF. And what did you make to the Devil's comments following Revolution 2023? In 2015, Bill DeMott left WWE in a sea of controversy after several allegations of the former Hugh Morris abusing his role as head trainer. It was alleged that DeMott would make the trainees perform unsafe drills that they weren't ready for, in addition to using sexist and homophobic language to bully the rookies, but not everyone had a problem with his actions. During the Cafe de Rene podcast, Kevin Matthews said that after suffering a torn bicep due to one of DeMott's drills, which was far above his skill set at the time, Hardcore Holly warned him not to tell anyone about Bill's behavior. Matthews explained that Holly, who was serving as a guest coach at the time, told him in a calm manner, quote, "If you throw Bill under the bus, I will personally you up." Hardcore Holly is no stranger to allegations of being a bully, as several wrestlers have said that, and there is the infamous moment from Tough Enough 3 where Holly took liberties on Matt Cappotelli, who was left bleeding by the ex-superstar. In Holly's autobiography, The Hardcore Truth, the first sentence in the tome reads, "I've never been a fan of bullies, but Holly's actions and his response to DeMott's behavior tells a much different story." During the latest SmackDown, Charlotte Flair faced Shotzi, and mid-match, Rhea Ripley emerged to taunt her WrestleMania opponent. Post-match, the two engaged in an admittedly awkward promo segment, where both women looked out of their element when taking shots at each other, and now we know why, as Fightful Select reports. We're told the Charlotte-Rhea Ripley promo deviated a little bit off the original plan, but weren't told how. At this time, it remains unclear what exactly the plan was, and while fans have often criticized the scripted promos WWE often uses, perhaps Ripley and Flair should stick to the script after this week's segment. We've got some truly awful news now, as Barrett Anderson, the son of Arn and brother of Brock, has died at the age of 37. On Twitter, Arn shared the awful news about Barrett's death, saying, "Last night my family suffered a loss that should never be felt by any parent. Our older son Barrett passed away. I'm struggling to write this. Tell those you love that you love them. Barrett was just 37. This is sadly the latest loss for the wrestling community, with Kevin Nash losing his son Tristan and best friend Scott Hall last year, and Jay Briscoe tragically passing away this past January. Barrett's brother Brock has been part of AEW for some time, where he has been teaming with Brian Pillman Jr., whose father passed away tragically young in 1997 at the age of 35. For a parent, the worst thing in the world must be to see your child pass away, and we'd like to offer our deepest condolences to Arn, his family, and everyone who knew Barrett at this awful time. At WrestleMania 39, Cody Rhodes will compete in the biggest match of his 16-year career when he looks to dethrone undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns. Since returning to WWE, Rhodes has spoken about his need to fulfill a promise made to his late father, but Cody is trying to go into WrestleMania with a clear head. Speaking to WrestleBinge, Rhodes spoke about acknowledging the significance of what is about to happen without getting too overwhelmed in the moment. He said, "I will say that it's been the graphic, the poster came out WrestleMania the other day, and the amount of text I got from people in the industry that I worked with a ton of times, but also the people I worked with just maybe one time, the amount of love that was given was really, obviously I'm a sentimental guy, is very touching. But it's also really put a level of responsibility on me. It's great to hear someone say, he's the right guy to face the guy, but for me personally, I have to go out and execute. I have to go out and deliver. It can't just be a pipe dream. It can't just be hope. It has to be hope and execution. And that's where I'm at. So I've tried not to get too high on the love that I'm getting from my peers in the business or get too down on any criticism that I might be getting as well, because none of it matters unless you go out there and execute and give them something to really just love and cherish. WrestleMania being the biggest thing we do, that's what I aim to do." After losing his father in 2015, leaving WWE in 2016, his emotional return last year, and his torn pectoral injury, we can hardly blame Rhodes for being emotional, but that emotion could be a weakness that the tribal chief will no doubt choose to exploit when the time is right. With her monstrous look, Abadon gets a lot of attention in the ring, but recently, the Living Dead girl has been making headlines for a different part of her appearance. On Twitter, Abadon showed off her impressive weight loss over the past 3 years, and while she hasn't competed for AEW in some time, this huge accolade will likely only help Abadon in her wrestling career. Over to Raw next, as Austin Theory was able to goad John Cena into a match at WrestleMania during this week's show, in arguably the biggest match in Theory's career. While Theory had his moments on the mic, Cena dominated their segment with a one-sided verbal beatdown, and what the US champion didn't impress Jim Cornette. On his drive-thru podcast, Jim Cornette spoke about the segment and his belief that Theory came off flat. He said, "Unless that this complete dressing down by Cena motivates Theory to change something, to do something that is demonstrably visible to fans, he's gonna come out and lay out physically, or he's going to change his attitude in a way that he's got a killer instinct, or he suddenly does something that even Cena remarks on, that's what I was looking for, or something like that, I can see that. If they start this way, it would be a big swerve then, or unexpected if Theory does win the match, which I still think would be possible without people setting the seats on fire, and it'll probably help Theory. But if they're not going to do anything like that between now and WrestleMania, I don't know. They've got to, because they just left this guy flatter than a f***ing turd in a punch bowl." There's been a lot of questions as to who will win their US title match, as while Cena would be the obvious choice, the 16-time world champion's very limited availability may give WWE reason not to put the US title on him. Whatever happens, Cena vs. Theory will be one of the most anticipated matches next month, and who do you think should leave as US champion? For much of his career, Santino Marella put opponents away with the Cobra, and this week, the former superstar revealed that one of WWE's biggest stars encouraged him to use the move. Speaking to Chris Van Vliet, Santino said that he was taught a bizarre strike by his trainer in Japan, and when he used the move at a house show, John Cena encouraged him to keep the Cobra in his repertoire. Within weeks, the move was so popular that Vince McMahon himself wanted to discuss the move with Santino, and the Cobra, and the merchandise revenue Santino made thanks to the Cobra sock puppet wouldn't have been a thing without John Cena. When you step into the ring, you put yourself at great risk, and while Braun Strowman wasn't injured at a recent WWE live event, his time at the show is one the former Universal Champion won't remember fondly. At a WWE event in Youngstown, the Monster Among Men teamed with Ricochet to face the Viking Raiders, and at one point attempted a Shawn Michaels-inspired kip-up. Unfortunately for Braun, he did not get close to landing on his feet, drawing some laughs from the crowd, and Strowman immediately tried to save face by getting intense and ripping his shirt off. Strowman would end up having the last laugh though, as he and Ricochet bested the Viking Raiders, and while Braun has proven to be pretty agile in the ring, it just wasn't meant to be in this match. During the pandemic, the 2020 Money in the Bank ladder match took place at Titan Towers, but this theatrical match nearly didn't get to happen at all. During an East Coast autograph virtual signing, Nia Jax explained that due to the pandemic, the governor of Connecticut nearly shut down the match's production, and the police even showed up to question what was going on. Thankfully, those police didn't shut down production, nor did they arrest Baron Corbin after he threw Rey Mysterio off the side of the building, and the 2020 Money in the Bank match would become unquestionably the most unique ladder match in WWE history. Since last March, Big E has been on the shelf with a severe neck injury, and this week, the former WWE champion gave an update on his future in the ring. Speaking to TMZ, Big E said he won't rush to any judgments on his health and has come to terms with the possibility that his career may have ended. And whatever comes next, we're wishing the best for Big E. And we're ending today with Jerry the King Lawler, who is back home after suffering a stroke last month. PW Insider confirmed that Lawler is back home in Memphis after spending his time in the hospital in Florida, and we're continuing to wish the Hall of Famer a very speedy recovery.